future, and we too must reap what we have sown. If you help others to achieve, if you help your nation to move forward, you have sown good seeds. You will find help and you will prosper. So don't see this as government policy. And it's very important that we don't see this as government policy. Government policy is policy. This must, for us, be personal policy. It is what determines how we ourselves will do well, how our children will prosper in this land. And as I said earlier, it will not depend on how much we pray or fast. It will depend on how we plan for the future by doing what is necessary today. We must do it today. It must be personal policy for you and I. We must determine that our country and our future deserves our own personal investment in doing things properly. I think it's also important to understand it, to understand some of the things in these executive orders in the context which they have been put. In the third executive order, we address the issue which the President, Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, has described as a cornerstone of our economic policy, the buy and use Nigeria policy. The President said, both at the reading of the budget in the budget address in 2016 and at the presentation of the Economic and Recovery and Growth Plan just a couple of weeks ago, he said that we must grow what we eat and we must make what we use. We must grow what we eat and we must make what we use. This buy Nigeria, grow Nigeria, eat Nigeria policy. Just to give an example, we eat a lot of rice in Nigeria, but we import most of it. Yet we can grow enough rice to serve the whole of Africa from just one region in Nigeria, assuming that only the northern states that are producing rice today, of course, Ebonyi is also producing rice and several others, but let's just assume, and we're just looking at the figures. If only the states that are producing rice today produce at maximum capacity, we can feed the whole of Africa, not just ourselves. We can feed all of Africa. So we decided to start a self-sufficiency in rice production. But local rice is still expensive. It's more expensive than imported rice. And I think someone pointed that out a moment ago, that locally produced anything is still more expensive. And that's the way it should be, for a start. The reason why local rice today is more expensive than imported rice is because those who are exporting rice to us are doing something smart. From Thailand, from India, from China, wherever our rice, including Vietnam, wherever rice is being imported, those countries are subsidizing their farmers so that the rice can be cheap, and when they export to Nigeria, they can be at an advantage over Nigerian rice. Every one of the countries that imports rice to us subsidizes their farmers. Why do they subsidize their farmers? So that they can create jobs for themselves. When we import rice and buy imported rice, we are creating jobs for farmers in Thailand, in India, in China, in Vietnam, and those countries. When we insist on buying our own local rice, we are creating jobs for the farmers in Jigawa, in Kebbi, in Kano, and the various other places in Ebonyi State and the various other places where rice is being produced. It's just as simple as that. So it's our own business as government to ensure that we introduce the same kinds of help and assistance to our farmers by subsidizing the production and by subsidizing even farm to market of rice so that our rice will be competitive. But it starts off by being more expensive. But I can assure you that in the coming months, our rice will compete with rice anywhere else in the world. How are we going to make sure? How are we going to make sure that that happens? We're going to work at it day by day. We're holding meetings with the Ministry of Agriculture and several others in the value chain every day, because we know that those who have made their rice cheap didn't drop from heaven. They're human beings like you and I. So we are also sitting down and looking at all of the strategies that will make food cheaper and that will make it cheaper and easier for Nigerians to be able to afford what it is that they want to eat. In conclusion, the prosperity and happiness of our nation depends on us, you and I who are here. we, the public servants. And I must say to you, and I know that you know already, that our civil service is the best educated. It is not just the largest in Africa, it's the best educated. We have the capacity, and our vision is very clear. I want to urge us to go forward. Let's go forward together as public servants to prove that an African nation, a nation such as ourselves, can be better, not just bigger, but better than any nation, greater than any nation anywhere in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Acting President, a very inspiring speech. I will now call on the Acting Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who will give a short vote of thanks as we round off this event.
Your Excellency, the Acting President, Honorable Ministers, Head of Service, Permanent Secretaries, distinguished civil servants, good morning. Your Excellency, I have the singular privilege to appreciate you and express on behalf of the entire public service our appreciation for attending this sensitization meeting. We thank you for dynamic leadership and for your vision for Nigeria. The honorable ministers here present and members of PEPEC, most importantly, the Honorable Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment, we thank you for coming, and we thank you also for keeping an eye on all the issues as we proceed. To the permanent secretaries who are driving the implementation of the executive orders, we're happy you're here, and we look forward to ensuring that these are effectively implemented across the public service. To the distinguished civil servants that are here, we thank you so much for coming, but we'll be happier and we look forward to engaging with you at other levels as we dig in and support the implementation of all the executive orders. And as the confidence reposed in us as civil servants, we hope that you take some good lessons from today, and like His Excellency has said, these are our personal policies, so let us drive them. To the members of the press, we thank you, and please continue to represent us well. Your Excellencies, distinguished persons present, I thank you very much indeed for today.
Thank you. Shall we rise for the national anthem?